going to talk about this game, Sentinels beating G2 on Sunset. You can see here that it was a very attack-sided game, so we're only going to focus on Sentinels attack side because I love Sentinels and I love when they win. We're going to start off here with round number 15, and you're going to enjoy Rob Moore's commentary or lack thereof.
Well.
And I'm actually just going to stop it there to talk about what goes on. So as you saw, it's kind of a fast B hit here from Sentinels. They're coming in and, you know, they're coming in at net. But you see that net is able to get around this corner. And so Zekken blast backing in here isn't quite able to actually find the kill on net and, you know, take advantage of the fact that Tenz's stun here that you're going to see does actually hit him, right? So net does get hit by the stun. So this play from Sentinels here, what this is basically we've got the camera in the window just here. And Net's going to come up and shoot that camera. And then because he shoots that camera, we're then going to stun across here with this breach. And then Zekken, as you saw, is going to blast back in. Now, the thing is that Zekken is actually going to walk these first couple steps, right? So he's going to just walk up first. Camera gets destroyed. That's our go signal, right? So I was trying to think like, okay, how could we actually, you know, make this a kill, essentially? Is there a way we could make this a kill? And if we are just playing off the camera, right, like if no one comes here, we just walk in B main, we take B main, that's absolutely fine, and we go from there. And if someone does destroy it, we obviously go for this play. How can we turn this, though, into a reliable kill? And the only thing I could really think of here for Sentinels, and this might work, right, is instead of having Sassy on Fade here, maybe you have him over here, and I don't know if this is fully possible. If you want to go out into a custom game for me and try it, then by all means let me know. But is it possible to throw a seize in here as well, right? Because if we can get a seize somewhere in here and catch this guy, and again, I don't know if that's possible or not. I'm not sure if it would catch him or not. But if that is possible and we can catch him with a seize, whether it's from back here or maybe even just, you know, running into B main and throwing it. Either way, if you can catch him, then obviously if Net can't get around this corner, Zekken should have a pretty free kill on whoever this is, right? And, you know, a stunned player on their own, you know, hopefully you're feeling like good things are going to happen. And again, maybe if you can catch someone with a seize there, maybe you even nade it as well, right? And just say, you've got no hope. We are definitely winning this fight. You are definitely dying, and going from there. But either way, they don't manage to find the kill. And then it kind of gets a bit weird here where, you know, Zekken's going to throw this nade, but they don't quite end up in the site. Zellsis, you know, maybe is a bit worried about getting pushed here. So he doesn't quite have the smoke up in time here to where, you know, you would think like, oh, we threw this nade. We've seen this guy retreat, like, you know, get the smoke down, in we go. But, you know, Zellsis is just going to take a bit of a time. And, of course, he's subbing in, so I'm not blaming him or anything. But, you know, the Fade Horn comes in. And eventually they do manage to take the site, and G2 just play off-site, which, in general, I think was a bit of a problem for them. And now we can talk about G2 for this as well. Because in a second, what you're about to see is a fast Flood retake, or attempted Flood retake here from G2. Now, whilst that's going on, Zellsis is going to win a 1v1 with Leaf here, just stay in mid. But with G2's setup, right, they had this very passive turret up here. They've got this Viper setup, and you would think that this Viper wall here, particularly this a little bit that's cutting off kind of this half of the site, would help them in their Flood retake, right? That they can come out here, kind of deal with this first part, you know, and get back in onto the site, and then, you know, get past the wall, kind of come past it in two angles, you know, maybe even three, come from this way, and then pinch on these guys, right? But the problem that they've got here is that their Viper setup is not only this wall, it's also this orb that you can see is up right now. And so instead of putting up this wall and helping these guys kind of get back out, instead what you're going to get is this orb is just going to stay up instead to, you know, dissuade maybe Zellsis from coming in this way. And what that means is that they aren't going to have this wall up, and you're going to see eventually Sassy kind of comes around here and manages to get 2 kills from it.
Spike planted. Last player standing.
So, as we can see here, what we're going to get is this Skydog coming in, and the first part of the retake is actually quite nice, right? The dog manages to hit, as we see Zellsis gets that kill, you can see on the kill feed just there, but, you know, we find a stun player here, we got the Oma Flash coming in. It's a really good start here for G2, but it's going to start to go wrong right here, right? So Sassy is going to throw in this C's that's going to hit Valen out here. And then you've got Net here as well. And you would think like, oh, it would be really great if, you know, as Valen is kind of coming up this way, you know, Net's then coming out of this choke point and, you know, we're kind of clearing this together. And then, you know, we're kind of double fighting what's going on over here. The problem he's got, though, is this nice Cypher cage that's going up from John QT. And I'm guessing here that Net is thinking, I don't want to reveal that I am here. Right, I don't want them knowing that I am here, but ultimately what that means is that he doesn't go through, you know, this Cypher cage, not revealing his position, but that means that Sassy can just get 2 kills before he actually comes through and, you know, swings and gets the trade-off, right? So you're going to see Sassy manages not only to get 1, but he actually gets a 2nd kill before Net then swings out, and sure, Net does manage to get 1, but then he loses this next fight here. They end up in a 2v1, and it's nice from John there to end the round for Sentinels and win this crucial bonus. Okay, now let's move on to round number 17, where again, we're going to see an attempt at a pretty fast B exec.
Want to make sure we have a legit sub whenever we need someone. So Cells is just jumping in where needed.
Face your fear!
Okay, so let's talk about what went wrong here for Sentinels then at the start of this round. So they're going to go for this smoke in mid. They're going to send out this Prowler. They clear B main very quickly, right? They get into B main. They're going to get second this ult orb straight away. And now you're feeling pretty good. We got, you know, a Fatal. We got a Raze ult. We're coming in. We're ready to come at you, right? The problem that they're going to have here is that they're going to send in the Fatal, right? They're going to send in the Fatal. And then Zekin's going to Raze ult. But he's going to die, right? And then the stun comes in. So there's a couple things going on here that I think don't go perfectly for them. One is probably that Tenz's stun is too slow, right? It comes in maybe just a hair too late. You know, perhaps he's waiting to see exactly where this guy is so he doesn't miss his stun. But, you know, as we see, costs Zekin his life. So ideally, you know, you'd want that stun probably coming in the same time the Fatal does. And you're seeing the problem with, you know, they're just sending in a Fatal, right? But the thing is, this Fatal doesn't actually, like, impact your crosshair or anything like that, right? This guy isn't flashed right now. He's not stunned right now. You know, he's just there. This is some of the problems that people have said, you know, ISO might have as well, right? That, you know, when he sends out his vulnerable, that's great, but you don't actually, you know, stop this guy from just hitting you with a headshot like in the first bullet, right? Like, they're still fine. You know, yeah, you give them a slight disadvantage, but, you know, they can still kill you. And so for here, for Sentinels, it's either probably Tens needs to, you know, get on it with this stun, like probably at the same time as this, or, you know, probably just a flash, you know, around this corner, or the alternative is you just wait for this Fatal to hit, right? Zekin doesn't come around this corner until the Fatal is gone. You actually just wait for a Prowler to come through and just follow the Prowler with the Raze ult. There's kind of 2 different ways of doing it. Either is fine, but you see that the timing here of this one where, you know, yeah, Trent's about to get hit by this Fatal, but there's nothing impacting him whatsoever. I mean, he shoots a whole, you know, half a mag there at Zekin and gets pretty much a free kill, you know, before he's impacted at all. And then obviously we see that, you know, then the Viper Orb goes up, the Snakebite comes down, and Sentinels now have to reset and go into a very different round.
The coaching staff is given a budget, and then they put together the team. G2 is the guard plus Leaf.
I know exactly where you are.
30 seconds left.
The best Sentinels match of all time might be League of Legends when we were Phoenix 1 and we took out TSM in the summer of 16, stopped their undefeated season. Go watch that on YouTube. Phoenix 1, TSM, summer split, 16.
Okay, so as we saw there, Sentinels, you know, they leave B main, they come back towards mid, right? And we're going to see a bit of a breakdown here from G2 where, you know, no one ends up checking this angle, then no one ends up checking this angle. Like, it's a bit of a weird one. And obviously, Leaf is a new player, and this is a new map, and so, you know, the protocols probably aren't fully there for both teams, really. We kind of saw that. But you can see that, you know, Sentinels have had more than enough time, you know, to come and do either this or this, and really, you know, could have done, and no one from G2 is checking it, and these two on A aren't really acting as if that's a, you know, distinct possibility here, but it actually is. And in fact, you know, by the time that, you know, Leap does check this angle and is there to check it, you know, Tens gets that kill, but there's actually two players already ahead of it, right, who are already up here, and actually that, after this Omen ult, is gonna get this next kill as well, where Sassy, it's an interesting Omen ult by Zelsis for one, right, to try and get into spawn when your team is already in spawn, but, you know, Sassy then gets the jump on Jonah P, who's maybe not expecting that they would have continued this way, right? We then get the Cypher ult, and, you know, it kind of becomes, it just becomes like a crazy, crazy round. You know, where we are going to get a kill from Valen here in just a second, but then we're going to get some nice util from Sentinels to then punish Valen, right? So he gets the kill, and that's kind of timing there, but we see the Omen flash the stun. It's all nice. And obviously now they come, you know, back just towards this A site, and they plant the spike. But this round to me was just like, it's nice from Sentinels to find that gap, to find that opening. Obviously, you'd say to G2 in a 5v4, that gap, that opening shouldn't be there, right? But neither side on the defense side here was, you know, it didn't seem like either team had a great grasp of this defensive side. And then we see, you know, Sassy, who had, you know, quite a nice attacking half here on Sunset, I thought, overall. And Zels is playing in, you know, what I consider to be the most important post-bound position here. Like, if you are playing Omen, Raze, Chamber, anyone who can get up here, you know, get up there, because it's a good angle. And Zelsis wins the round. Okay, now on to round number 19. And this one was a really nice round by Sentinels.
Bring them down. Face your fear!
I'm pretty sure Riot has said at the beginning of the next season is when that would start to be. This is where there would start to be the team content and skins.
Okay, so let's take a look at this round here from Sentinels, and we are going to send Zekken quickly up in here. We're going to have a Breach and Fade just in B main. We actually have a triple stack in B main here from G2, and well, we'll talk about G2, but first let's just talk about, you know, we got the camera in here again, right? We're going to smoke off the top of mid just there. Zekken's going to, you know, quickly go in towards the market door, and we're going to get this little brawl here. Now, the first thing is, I would say that probably if they were redoing this, you might want Zelsis, instead of starting here, just starting closer to Zekken, because he's actually going to follow back behind here, and, you know, it probably just makes more sense if he started from here, you know, just to have like a shorter path in here to get alongside Zekken. But I have to question again, G2, they just look unsure of what they want to do here, right? They've got a triple stack here in B main. And, you know, Jonah P's going to have a flash out if we come back to the start of the round, right? Like, he's got his flash ready. We send a smoke there for, like, a smoke in the B main choke point. And, you know, like, a late flash comes out. And the thing is, for me here, like, Zekken is here already, right? He gets all the way and up here, like, very, very fast. And I'm not even sure that they even heard him, to be honest, do that. So he's already up here very, very fast. But these guys just kind of, like, just sit here and sort of wait and don't really... It's a weird one where I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to do. Like, quite a bit of time has passed here, and then they eventually end up getting fade ulted. And as we saw, like, Zelsis has had to come all the way across here, right? He smoked this and then, like, walked back across here and come in here, like, you know, and all this time is ticking. All this time is tick, 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 right? Before then, they actually kind of do the fade ult and start coming at them now. And these guys never really reacted to that. They seem so kind of, you know, unsure of, like, do we fight this? You know, do we wait for them to try and come here? We've got no one watching this side of mid, you know, like, and, you know, they end up, like, with them right on top of them before they really know what to do. We see Zelsis flash across there. In a second, we're going to see a nade in here come from Zekken as well, right? So we get a trade of nades. Zelsis is able to get that kill just there. And they end up just kind of just getting pinched, you know, with Leaf here, just, you know, no chance. Tens gets the kill on Valen just there, and they kind of easily, you know, take the site. And again, it's nice by Sentinels. It's a, you know, nice little round. As I said, maybe Zelsis could be on the other side of the mid, but other than that, it's a really nice round. But this was kind of a thing that happened really for both teams on this defensive side, where they just seemed a bit unsure of what they really wanted to do, right? Like, G2 were just kind of paralyzed there at the start of B main, not knowing, do we fight this? Do we not? And it ended up costing them the round. But again, a nice little round by Sentinels. Okay, and then the final one here, the very last round of the game. This time, let's take a look at an A hit from Sentinels, where again, they had a lot of success going towards this A site as well.
Co-streaming it, so you can actually hear them talk about the game on here. I'm just answering questions to chat, although right now I'm more focused on trying to get this victory that you all gave up on about 20 minutes
Face
ago.
your fear! One down. Chill out.
Okay, so let's break this round down. You see it's just a full committed A hit here from Sentinels. And let's talk about things from both sides, shall we? So, first thing I want to talk about here is G2, and this smoke is going to become a one-way out here. Now, generally speaking, from what I have seen so far in a lot of these games, is this one-way gets thrown a lot. Most of the time, it does nothing. A lot of times you'll see Viper comps, right? And the Viper will kind of smoke both sides, and it just means that you can't get ahead of that Viper setup, and so you can't even see this one way a lot of the time. But I've seen a lot of teams just throw this one way kind of out on its own, and I would say that most of the time, people just get past it without really too much trouble. And especially if they're playing Viper. Now, Sentinels aren't playing Viper, so it might be a bit harder for them, but a lot of the time, I haven't been super impressed with this one way. And in this instance, obviously, this is coming from way too deep. Like, they just run past it, right? So that's the first thing. We got a fade haunt that came up into the window just here that gets shot. You see that now we start to get like the flash and stuff, but it's too late. They're already up on you, right? We send a prowler out to the left-hand side. Now we're going to get a second one way. We'll talk about this for G2 in a second as well. Up on this box. Now that one way I think is much easier. One, it's much easier to defend. Two, it's much more of a threat. For Sentinels to go through, and they see that one way and they decide, you know what, let's not go that way, let's come this way instead, towards elbow. Now the thing that, whilst this is all going on, and maybe some of you noticed, is that they have this Viper wall here, do G2, right? They have this Viper wall, and you would think, like, this seems like a prime time to use this Viper wall, right? Like, hey, they're coming on me, fast if you leave here. Hey, Viper, can you, put up the wall? The thing is, they aren't going to put up the wall really at any point. And the reason they're not going to put up the wall is because of this one way, right? Because literally in the round, I think prior to this one, or certainly earlier in the game, what happened was they had this one way up to G2, and they put this Viper wall up at the same time, and Zekken was able to just walk up to this side of the wall. When the wall went down, he got a kill, and this one way didn't do anything, right? So again, we've got some kind of like anti-synergy, you would say, here between how G2 are wanting to defend this site, right? They're wanting to do this one way, but that means that they can't put up their Viper wall to help defend elbow because, this one way then isn't a one way and we're wasting a smoke. So Valorant probably said, hey, don't put up the Viper wall when I've got up this one way. And so they end up just not using their wall, right? And so it ends up looking a bit stupid here that, you would think, like, use the wall, right? Use the wall. Hey, yeah, use the wall, right? We need something to stop them. Use the wall now, right? Like, please. But they never do, right? So we send in the fatal, we see the nade, we see the aftershock, dealing with all of this, and it allows Sentinels to get up here. Now, Leaf is going to send out this boombot as well. In hindsight, it's easy to say that kind of cost him his life. I would say this is more unlucky for Leaf's part. Some people might, say, well, what are you doing sending out this boombot? But really, I think it's a little unlucky because a smoke is about to bloom here. Sentinel smoke is literally bloom, right? And that's not a kill. So you're talking about like milliseconds, right? I would call that unlucky personally, but unlucky, I guess. And now obviously Valen is in a tough spot, right? He's in a really tough spot. He still does have his one way up here, but obviously now he's having to deal, with both directions. And we see that from his POV as well, where, he's having to deal with both directions here. And so even though, the dog does stun Zekken in here, it's still tough for Valen, and they just wait for that one way to go. And then John QT is able to get that kill. And now let's see how Sentinels win this round.
Here.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
So So what ends up happening here is we get Jonah trying to flash out the smoke. You got to make a play. You're in a 5v3, right? So no problem with him trying that. But you see there the nice little swing. You see that TenZ is ready to swing. If Sassy did lose that fight, right, that would have been a trade. Would have been a nice play again for Sentinels there. End up in a 5v2. You know, TenZ, even on breach, has his aim on lock. Gets that kill as well. And obviously in the 5v1, they managed to pull it back. And that's the thing. You don't see a 10-2, you know, reverse 13-11 very often, right? Probably more likely on a new map to happen than anywhere else, but this was an impressive game, particularly on the attack side, not so much on the defense side, for Sentinels. Yes, G2 were making mistakes, but Sentinels rightfully punished those mistakes and managed to get a massive comeback win.